Really
what
nice.
I'm really interested of, speaking of like Cloud Lifter, right? I want to know what their 44 clone sounds like. The ribbon mic that they make.
Oh yeah.
I really want to hear that because for $1,500, like, I don't know. I feel like the difference between ribbon mics is like pretty minimal, you know, but it's like, if you got that big money, like you're just going to get a real 44.
It takes a lot from my experience. So like the fat heads I've used a million times. They're super cheap. They're like $50 or something like that. They're awesome. Great ribbon mics for like room drums. And if you want something dirty, but I've also used like Royers for miking like guitars
Royers.
and stuff. I've tried, you know, it's a thing. I feel like everybody should try it. You know what I mean? Like if you've never tried it.
Also, I've used them on guitars and I like them. I can't stand them on drums. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just think that
it depends on the genre.
And then
I think it depends on the genre.
Just wasn't the sauce.
Now, what is it? There's a Royer 151 that is it's got a power bank in it. So you actually do, it's one of the only ribbon mics that you actually do turn on phantom power for.
Yeah. Well, and AEA now has active versions of all their mics, which is pretty cool. I think SE does too.
Active? Yes, they do. I've used the AEA ones.
Yeah. Did you use R84?
Yeah. So my buddy golly, chest. My buddy from Greenbrier, Jay, who I had on the podcast the other week, when you were off with Lee, he's got like a bunch of really good AEA ribbon mics that he uses for room mics.
Cool.
And they sound awesome. And it's the single one with the stereo internalized pattern.
Yeah, so that's the R88.
Yeah,
those ones are sick.
That one. Yeah, they're great. They sound awesome.
Sick. Yeah, I want an 84 really bad, just for vocals.
The Royer Active that I was talking about is the Royer R122, and it is. I actually really liked that one. I understand the 121 on guitar cabs is kind of like the thing. I am kind of neither here or there, honestly. And instead of having to deal with the phase issues, potentially, I would rather just like throw a 58 or 57 on it and like just do that.
Yeah.
But I actually really liked the 122 on overheads because it's active, it's a little brighter. So it like doesn't overly darken it like a 121 would. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like just naturally a little brighter. I really liked it.
Yeah, I want to try like the big bright mic thing on overheads. I've just never been in a studio where
KM184s, baby. That's my thing. That's my sauce, dude.
I'm talking about like large diaphragm mics.
Oh yeah,
I'll be seeing Keon doing stuff with like he'll have literally left, right, center like vintage C12s.
We used vintage U87s on overheads once, and it sounded really good, honestly. Yeah. Especially if you have the vintage U87s and you can get the kit picture right, where you're not just using it for cymbals, you're using it for like the entirety of the kit picture.
Yeah, like how everybody outside of metal does it.
Exactly, how it's supposed to be done. But if you do it correctly, and you compress it really, really hard, you almost don't need the directional mics outside of the kick. It sounds so full.
I want to go to that. I know a lot of guys love doing that with 4038s, going back to ribbon mics, and those things rip. They seem like probably one of the most like neutral sounding microphones. You know, where it's one of those things where it's like, what does your ear hear? Okay, now put the mic where your ear is.
That's kind of how. Well, actually, that's kind of how I feel about ribbons in general, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously,
it's very much a situational thing. Because like I've seen something that I've seen people do is they will track with the 122s. Actually, they'll track BGVs with the 122. Because they're naturally just a little darker than what you would use on a main vocal, and they sit better naturally.
Yeah, I like brighter background vocals. Like, I think one of the coolest combos on any album ever is how On the self-titled 1975 album, they used a vintage U67 on lead vocal, and then all the BGVs were on a Manley Ref C. And it's cool because what that does is it feels like the backing vocals are wrapping around the lead, which is like kind of the sound I always chase.
Because you're naturally going to pull those left and right wide doubles down anyway in volume, but because they're brighter, they're going to lift around the side.
It's just make less EQ work because like typically like if you have a mid heavy vocal, like you're just going to be sucking 2K out of the backing vocal anyway.
Yeah, but no, it does make like that actually makes a lot of mixing sense because it is just less moves. If that's the sound that you're chasing. Some people like a lot of like country records do the thing that I was talking about with the 122, where they'll do darker wides because they want the center vocal to be like really in your face and bright.
It's more of like a feel thing.
Exactly. It's very situational.